their franchise in a free, peaceful, and secure manner in the December polls.
When my time is up, hopefully after 4 more years, I want to hand over to my successor and the sovereign people of Ghana, a country that is greater, fairer, stronger, more cohesive, more prosperous, and more united than I met it in 2017.
But tonight, the seeming lack of trust and confidence in the Electoral Commission among a section of the populace is a worry for some observers.
The constitutional mode of appointment of our EC chair and its deputies, especially when multiple vacancies occur on the commission at the same time, has left the EC facing a problem of divided partisan trust.
And also, reference to Italian mafia doesn't mean all Italians are mafias. NDC flag bearer John Mahama justifies his endorsement of Achim Sakawa Boy's comments as he calls for coup heads amongst those asking for him to be banned from entering the Achim state.
Yes, if we say Italian mafia, doesn't mean all Italians are mafia. There are some people who are mafia but happen to be Italian.
And in business, proposed 4% reduction in communication services. Let's take off from midnight. We'll give you details on how it will be worked out for you as a consumer.
And much later, from the neighborhoods of Adabraka to the London School of Economics, we hear the story of Evans Mensah. Here on Joy FM as we celebrate 25 years of fearless journalism. That and more in tonight's edition of Newsnight. Can't wait for that. But if you missed it on Top Story, presidential aspirants to cough up 100,000 Ghana cedis whilst parliamentary candidates paid 10,000. We have the latest on that. Do join us with your thoughts and comments. It's via WhatsApp on 0244340437. I am Emefa Apawu.
And my name is Evans Mensah. We'll wait to hear your views on all the stories here on Newsnight. Well, tonight, Canada Japan's lawyers say they will challenge the jurisdiction of the High Court judge who issued the contempt summons on him after a no-show today at the High Court in the case in which the Assin Central MP is facing possible jail time for contempt of court. The High Court in question is tonight intensifying its efforts regardless to ensure that the Assin Central MP appears before it to explain why it should not sanction him. A notice of court date is to be pasted at the Netu and Oman FM buildings, which are owned by the legislator. Now, this has become necessary after the MP did not show up in court, with the registrar explaining they've been unable to serve him with the court documents. The MP allegedly made comments the court deems insulting and denigrating the image of the judiciary in a land dispute involving him. Now, Mr. Japan was to appear today, but failure to show up caused the court to direct a substituted service. Court correspondent Joseph Blay has more.
The MP on live TV takes on the judge hearing the case involving him. The court had deemed the comments scandalous, causing it to summon him to appear before it. He is required to show cause why he should not be severely punished for his comments. The bailiff, who was directed to notify the MP to appear, says he has been unsuccessful both in Parliament and at the offices of Netu TV. Justice Amos Wuni has directed a notice of hearing be pasted at the Netu TV building and High Court notice board. Mr. Japan would have been deemed appropriately served with hearing fixed for Friday, September 18.
Well, that is Joseph Akablay's report from court today. Well, Emefa, a short while ago, we spoke to lawyer for Kennedy Japan, who actually also happens to be his brother. Okay. They have the same father, Raf Japan, who says they will be challenging the jurisdiction of this particular High Court judge to issue the summons on him. He explains.
We got information about a process, which is an order to appear in court. And the process was as a matter of fact, it went viral. So the man had not been served personally. The return date for court, I believe, was today. So when the matter came up this morning, because he had not been served personally, I understand the judge made an order that service be effected by substitution. And a form of two forms. One, it should be posted on the premises of Netu TV, and then on the, I believe, on the court premises. So as I speak with you, I have just been informed. In fact, they have sent me a copy of the posting which has been done at Netu TV. And that will mean that Mr. Japan has been duly served. So we will also take the necessary steps to do the needful. I understand the return date is for Friday. So I'll consult my client. Hopefully we'll meet tomorrow and then discuss the way forward.
So he will definitely appear on Friday?
That is for sure, yes.
Okay, so I understand that the substitute service has now formally got into his personal attention.
Yes, if by how the court made the order, because it has been posted on the 2 television premises, which they believe that because he's the owner, it is, an easier way for them to effect service. So I've been informed that the bailiff brought a process. He has posted it. They've taken a picture, and I understand they are going to report that they have effected service. So we'll also take steps tomorrow to address the issues which will arise out of it.
In the official explanation offered by the bailiffs, he says that attempts to serve Mr. Japan at his office at Net 2 TV and Parliament proved unsuccessful. Seeing how this went viral when the order was issued for him to appear, was he deliberately evading the service?
No, not at all. Not at all. You see, not at all. You see, processes like this, because it's quasi-criminal, you have to look for the person and serve him personally. It is possible the bailiff may not know his residential location, and Parliament is not in session as well. And the 2 TV, though he owns the 2 television, he doesn't have a permanent office at that place. So you can confirm that indeed when he went back to court today, and the judge made an order that he be served by substitution, we have equally accepted, and then we'll take the necessary steps. There is no way he's going to evade service. No. For what?
The bailiff told the court that he personally spoke to Mr. Japan via phone and was asked to send the document to Parliament.
That is what the bailiff told the court.
Yes.
Yes. Then maybe it is possible he had asked him to meet him in Parliament House. Because, you see, when you talk to somebody on phone and you need to effect service on that particular person, nobody can take service on his behalf. If you do that, there is no service. The rules of court doesn't require that. You understand? So when he says take it to Parliament, it is possible he was probably going to his office in Parliament. But for you to use the word he's invading service, no, please. That I think is a bit on the harsher side.
I asked that because if it's true that the bailiff indeed spoke to him on the phone and he directed that, bring it to Parliament.
And this was when?
Well, I don't know about the timelines. I'm just reporting what was said in court.
Unfortunately, because Mr. Japan had not been served, and I myself, I got to know about this in social media, we couldn't go to court. There was no way. So whatever the bailiff said may have been one side of the story. It's unfortunate. But, as I have said now service has been effected. So we'll take steps to do the needful.
I wonder, in such matters of contempt, seeing that Mr. Japan himself, even before he was invited, was pretty apologetic on almost all media outlets. I wonder, in keeping with that same spirit, even without being personally served, wouldn't he have done himself a great favor by simply showing up, having heard or seen it on social media?
My brother, let me explain something to you. There are 2 sides to this issue. The uncomplimentary words which were uttered against a court was not uttered against that particular court which issued the summons. It was in respect of a different court. You understand? So we were of a bit surprised to see that particular summons coming out from that court, because the court which Mr. Japan used those uncomplimentary words, as you saw in the statement, against, it's not the same court that has issued the summons. So we believe there is something wrong somewhere. That is why I'm saying that we are going to take steps to do the needful. Now they have effected service. We will do the needful for the whole world to know that indeed, words were uttered, but it was not against this court that has issued the summons.
So do I understand you to say that you will seek to draw the court's attention to what possibly you believe could be an error?
Yes, that is one. And more so, you see, I will not want to preempt. I will not want to preempt our strategy. But you see, we were also surprised to see summons arising from that particular court, even though no official from the court had written to Net 2 TV for copies or a copy of that particular video. You understand? So our understanding is that the summons came out of a social media footage which had gone viral.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand?
I do.
Which had gone viral. And this did not come from Oman FM and the 2TV's office. The normal rule is that you should apply to get the audio or the video from the source. So that based on that, the summons, you can issue a summons out of that. And in this case, this was not done. So that's why I'm saying that we are taking steps to let the court draw the court's attention to the fact that, look, the court may have assumed that he was talking about this particular court, but no. Instead, it was this particular court, and he has equally effected an apology to that particular court. When you see the apology letter, the judge who was in whose court those uncomplimentary words were used against is copied. If you look at the daily graphic of Thursday, the judge is copied. His name is on that particular apology letter. So it could not have been this particular court that have issued a summons.
But does it really matter which court takes this up? Didn't he malign the court generally?
Yes. If you look at the order, arising out from the court. It says that for scandalizing and threatening this particular court. However, he was not referring to that court, so it is specific. If it had been a general order, then it would have been different. But this is specific to this court. Meanwhile, he did not speak about that court.
But didn't he speak generally also about judges in general too?
No. It was, you see, the man had gone to a property he owned. He had owned the property for about 18 years. When he got there were, I think there was an order for substitution to serve him with a court process, and then motion or notice for interlocutory injunction. So he got so furious and angry, and he reacted based on that writ and the order by substitution, and that came from a different court other than the one which has issued the summons.
But this is a man who, in those unprintable words that I can repeat, said clearly that he had a vendetta against judges. Judges who abuse their power.
No. I respectfully, if I mean, you be in all sincerity, please.
But he also talked in general terms about judges who abuse their power.
Please, you make reference to the order which came from the court to appear. The order to appear. You read the order very well. You appreciate the fact that that order came from that court because that court felt insulted and scandalized. Meanwhile, he was not referring to that particular court. So please, look at the order. Emanating from that particular court. Look at it.
He doesn't consider at all that an attack on one court is an attack on every court in Ghana, and that another judge could take this matter.
That cannot be it. There is no legal position that says that if, I'm using the word if I use uncomplimentary words against one particular court, it affects the entire court. No, that could not be the situation. So are you saying that when you have a judgment from a court and that judgment is wrong, another judge sitting in a different court will have to follow the same high court judgment?
But isn't there a special case of contempt? I mean, contempt is not one of those things you treat like any other thing. That is the court. That is the court prerogative to prosecute.
Contempt is quasi-criminal, but the court which was insulted is the one that is close to the capacity to initiate any contempt action. Court C cannot sit somewhere and say that, look, I heard you insulting Court B, so I'm going to assume jurisdiction and take over. No.
So
specific.
So tell me, what's the point of drawing this court's attention to it? So what? The court? You saying the court has no power to sanction him?
Not power. A court has power, but the court may not have jurisdiction.
So your intention is to say this particular court of Justice Wuntumi hasn't got the jurisdiction?
Yes, he cannot assume jurisdiction which he doesn't have. He has apologized already to the court that he used those uncomplimentary words. But before this court, which has issued the summons, he did not utter any bad word or uncomplimentary word about that particular court. Simplicity. That is why I'm saying that now it appears service has been effected because the judge ordered that the order be posted at Netu TV and then on the court premises. Now they've done that. It is deemed he has been served. Fine. we are going to take steps to draw the court's attention to the fact that he was not talking about your court.
In reference to the court specifically to which you believe he possibly scandalized. My question is to that court. I'm just asking, on the back of the apology he's rendered, which in effect is admitting that to that particular court, yes, I scandalized it. Is he ready to face whatever sanction that court, if he so chooses, hands down in the context of Munte 3, where we saw jail terms handed down?
In the issue of Munte 3, my understanding is that they apologized, I believe, in court. In this case, the man, after having a sober reflection over the words he uttered, has apologized, and even apologized before this, if that was to be the court, before this order to appear in court came. So a judge, in even giving sentence, whether custodial or fine or caution and discharge, will also take this into consideration. But for me, to answer this question, asking, will it be appropriate for him to serve jail sentence, do ABCD? I don't think I am the proper person to ask, because that is a power for the court. It is not for me as a lawyer. You understand? But what I know is that so far as you apologize, then mitigation comes in. You've mitigated. If you are to be given, let's say, a fine of 1,000 Ghana cedis, a judge will consider that apology, and then
it also could mean if you were to serve 3 months, you could get 1 month.
Yes, that is the case. That is the general thing.
My question is, if a judge on his own believe that you have scandalized the court or you have threatened the court, and therefore you deserve a prison term, that will be it. But don't make it a specific case as to Honorable Kennedy or Japan. No. Normally that is what the court will do. My question is, whatever the court decide, if it includes prison term, is he willing to accept that fate of his?
Kennedy Japan is not above the law. He's not above the law. That is what I'm saying. The judge, even if you look at the order said that, look, come and prove to the court why he should not be committed and convicted for contempt. He should come and prove to the court. And I have indicated to you that, look, the court that he used uncomplimentary words against, it's not the same court that has brought this, issued this summons. So we are taking steps to let the court understand that, look, well, there were words uttered against a particular court, but in this instance, it was not your court. And therefore, assuming jurisdiction will be wrong in law.
Well, that is Ralph Ejipon. He is lawyer for Mr. Kennedy Ejipon. I'm joined on the telephone line right now by private legal practitioner Samson Ladi Ayenini with some thoughts on what we've just been listening to. Mr. Andy, thank you for your time here on Newsnight. So tell me, he says, well, there's a particular judge in a particular court we scandalized, we've apologized. He seemed to suggest that this other court that had issued the summons had no jurisdiction to do so. Do you agree with? Is that the position of the law?
The laws of Ghana, as through the Constitution in Article 12, and through the Court Act, I am sure we are left, Article 1912. Article 19 of the Constitution, particularly 11, and also what is known as the Court Act, provide very clearly that the courts of this country have power to commit for contempt unto themselves. The exception is that the lower courts, as in the district courts, are the ones that are not clothed with the power to punish for contempt. But even in their circumstance, there is some exception where the Court Act provides very clearly, I think somewhere in section 61, where they are able to punish summarily for acts that are done in their face in willful disobedience of what they intend to do. Now, the point must be emphasized that what appears to be the present situation borders on what is known as criminal contempt. Now, if it is a matter of criminal contempt, what we simply mean is that somebody has done an act, which act seeks to scandalize or tends to scandalize or lower the authority of the courts, or is seeks to prejudice or interfere with the course of, justice, or as it is, it obstructs or undermines the administration of justice. In the circumstance, the practice and the law, as I know it, is quite straightforward. It is the particular court and not any other court. It is not at large. So if in a situation as we are talking about, this situation specific, where the person's comments are related to a specific case, it is the court in which that matter is going on that will assume the jurisdiction to deal with the question of contempt, and not any other court, except that there is a requirement for the third conterminor to be offered the chance or an opportunity to offer an explanation. So what I have gathered so far is that somebody is being asked to come and show whether they committed the act of contempt or they have not committed the act of contempt. And if they have committed it, why they should be put into prison. So if the person appears before the court, the person will now explain that I spoke about court A, but it is court B that has invited me. So there was a mistake somewhere. Now, if you are familiar with the facts, you would discover that the summons that all of us have seen is a matter in which he is not the only defendant. There are about 4 defendants, including the Inspector General of Police, in which injunction was granted the matter. But if you read his apology refers to another matter in which he, I think he's the only defendant in that matter. Now, if you listen to the conversation that is in context now, which is deemed to be contemptuous by the court, you would hear references that seem to suggest that he is talking about injunction that has been granted against him without he being heard. So I think it's not a difficult thing for him to show in court. When he goes to the court, he says, a judge has acted, I cannot repeat those words, and says, has heard and granted an injunction against him without he being heard or his side of the being heard. And then he went to town and did what he had to do. When he goes before this court, and remember, once the summons has gone, a refusal to respond to the summons and to attend to the court in itself will be contempt and can be punished with the severity of the punishment of contempt. So he will attend, and then will show whether the injunction he was referring to was about this matter that was dealing with.
Okay, so because of time, we'll speed up things a little bit more, but quick clarification. So it's the case that when a judge or a particular court is scandalized, the entire judiciary cannot take up that issue. But is that what happened in the Muntie 3 case, for instance?
Okay, so in the Muntie 3, the names of specific judges were mentioned. And as far as I remember, the Chief Justice's name was mentioned. In the Muntie 3, the discussion was not at large. I think if we listen back, we'll recall that it was about setting processes. So it was not at large. If you sat anywhere and decided to make a commentary that is not related to any case, but about judges in general, a different approach may be taken. And the Supreme Court may be the court that will be seized with dealing with the matter as regards scandalizing the court. But where you are speaking and your speech is directly about a particular matter or about a particular judge, it is the court in which that matter is being dealt with or a particular judge who is handling that particular matter that will be dealing with that matter of contempt.
Okay,
and the law says either a summons is issued or if you are before that judge, a summary process can be undergone. Or there's also the option of actually a criminal process being triggered by way of contempt.
Now, is an apology on its own enough to mitigate or overturn a punishment, for instance?
So if you were dealing with a civil contempt, once you have proceeded to obey the order of the court or the judgment of the court, which you have sought to disobey, then you would have, the contempt would have were evaporated. In the criminal, the apology, and even in some civil contempt, the apology only amounts to mitigating the suffering that awaits you.
So assuming the lawyer plans to give him some 5 years, he may decide to give him a year because he apologized before. So I'm grateful that you join us with your thoughts. Now,
the Greater Accra Police are assuring the family of the late Professor Yao-Bene that they will do all they can to unravel the mystery surrounding the killing of the law lecturer. A team of police homicide experts led by the CID boss, DCOP Kenya Boa, earlier stormed the residence of the late professor where he was found dead at the weekend. We can listen to DSP Ifya Tinge. She's in charge of the Accra Region Police PR, and she's been speaking in an interview with the head of our security desk, Gifty Andwapia.
So we continue to take leads on any information that comes to our desk. And as I indicated, the crime scene experts, together with the investigators who are working on this particular case, are doing whatever is humanly possible to see if we can make good headway in this particular murder case. When the information got to the police, the East Legon Command moved in together with the crime scene experts from the CID. And the technical team, as I indicated earlier, immediately when the police got there, they had to secure the place. Maybe people were expecting to see the yellow tips, but it doesn't really change anything because the place was already an enclosed place where at the time when the East Legon police had taken charge of the place, people were not allowed access. It was after when the crime scene investigative team had gone there, picked every information they needed, the fingerprints, any material that would be of importance to them as far as investigations are concerned, were lifted. That was when we handed over the place to the family. And that does not mean that the police cannot still revisit the place again. We are doing what we have to do as professionals, and we know bringing in the crime scene experts alone indicates that, yes, the homicide units who are trained in investigating cases of this nature have taken whatever they wanted to lift initially at that point. But for now, all that will continue to ask for the cooperation of the general public, where we are asking that if there are any reliable information out there, they should not hesitate, but hand them over to the police through our emergency lines. That's the 191 and the 18555.
That's DSP Ifya Tenge. She's in charge of the Accra Region Police Command PR section. We'll go for business. When we return, reference to Italian mafia doesn't mean all Italians are mafias. NDC flag bearer John Mahama justifies his endorsement of a Chimsa Boy's comments as he calls for coup heads among those asking for him to be banned from entering the Achim state. That and more in the election headquarters after business with George Uafi. Good evening, George.
Good evening, Emefa. From midnight, you actually see some reduction in the communication service tax, depending on the network that you use, but it's cutting across all the networks in the country. I'll be getting you more details on that one. And Finance Ministry reacts to downgrading of the country's credit ratings by Standard & Poor's, insisting had nothing to do with how the economy has been managed. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all your office essentials. And First National Bank, we are the bank that understands your business. First National Bank, how can we help you?
Look at you, the big boss.
You know they hear.
You know they fear who?
Until somebody says, I will tell your mother.
That's why we say wear a mask, or else
we will call your mother.
Hey, why are you disgracing me? Why your mask?
Wear it for her. Wear it for me everywhere you go. MTN. Visit wearit4.me to send a message to someone.
We give you nothing but the best. We stay above the rest. More quality, more affordability. Kingdom Books and Stationery. Everybody's going to the one and only shop where customer satisfaction is a guarantee. Kingdom Books and Stationery.
Oh yes, with our 30 days credit facility with no interest charge, free delivery services, and our free consultation on setting up your office, Kingdom Books and Stationery is unmatched in our delivery of quality and affordable office essentials, equipment, and furniture.
Experience world-class customer service in all our branches in Accra, Tema, Kumasi, Cape Coast, and Takoradi.
Call us on 0302-764-101
or visit our website at www.kingdomgh.com.
Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all office essentials and stationery. Terms and conditions apply.
Puma Drinks, ready to add flavor to your life? Puma Drinks, bursting with so many flavors, you just can't have enough.
The exhibition of the voters register for the 2020 election is here.
The Electoral Commission of Ghana will display the provisional voters register at all polling stations designated as exhibition centers where voters registered recently from 18th to 25th September 2020, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. each day. Do not assume that your name is in the register. Go personally to your polling station with your voter's ID card as evidence to 1. Verify your details of registration to make sure that your name, photograph, and other particulars are in the register. 2. Make claims for omitted data such as name, age, or sex to be included in the register. 3. Amend details such as incorrect name, sex, age, and unclear photographs in the register and on your voter ID card. 4. Know your polling station ahead of the elections. And 5. Object to the inclusion of names of unqualified persons on stated grounds. The EC has introduced a mobile telephony tracking SMS platform to enable registered voters access their registration details using their mobile phones. Very simple. Text your voter ID to 1422 on all networks to verify your details on the voters register. To ensure a safe and secure exhibition of voters register exercise, the Electoral Commission will direct all registrants to observe compulsory protection protocols like wearing of face masks, temperature checks, social distancing and hand sanitizing instituted by government as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic at all exhibition centers. Exhibition of the Provisional Voters Register is from 18th to 25th September 2020. 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. each day, including Saturday and Sunday. Remember, the only way to guarantee that your name is in the voters register is to take part in the exhibition exercise. 2020 exhibition of the voters register exercise. Your safety, our concern.
Participate in the exhibition of the voters register.
Nane kufodo yamawa iko jana foyina
You're welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, the proposed reduction in the communication service tax on related telecom transactions and services and is now set to take off from midnight. Now, this was after the telecom operators finalized discussions on the relevant services with the regulator on how the taxes should be worked out. It's coming after Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta announced in the mid-year review the reduction of the tax from 9% to 5%. Let's hear from the Chief Executive of the Telecom Chamber, Ken Ashibe, explaining to us how things will be worked out.
What it would mean is that for every purchase of telecommunication service that you buy, the CST on it is now only going to be 4%. So it means if you bought, say, a 10 CD scratch card, it would mean that the CST component on it will be only 5%. And we also need to bear in mind that VAT is computed on the CST value. So you mean even the VAT element that's on your scratch card that you bought would come down. So your per second charge for voice, your per SMS charge, per data, megabyte charge for data would all come down by 4% CST that has been reduced, plus the differential in VAT also that is coming on only just 5% instead of the 9%. So that's what we're expecting to go live on 15th of September. And you know that telecommunication services has become a utility. So it means that for not just the customers, but businesses that are relying on telecommunication service, their cost of doing business would come down by that tax.
Ken Ashibe is Chief Executive of the Telecoms Chamber. Meanwhile, some of the telecoms operators have started sending notifications to their clients on how these charges will be worked out from tomorrow.
Okay, so I'm deciding that I wanted to upload data onto my...
Trying to outwit the system or
to my router. But then immediately I saw Ken Ashibe's statement, which he sent to me. I'm like, goodness me, I'm waiting till tomorrow. I'll do it tomorrow so that I can benefit. So 4%?
Yeah, reduction on it.
Yeah,
and
that can
depending on how much you consume,
exactly.
Could be significant even.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, two other stories. The governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Ernest Addison, says measures have been instituted to ensure that the banking sector is able to withstand the uncertainties surrounding the economy as a result of COVID-19. Now, it has been projected that growth will suffer as a result of COVID-19. But speaking at the Alliance for Finance Inclusion of Gender Issues at the financial webinar, Governor of the Bank of Ghana says enough has been done to minimize the expected shocks.
Increasing use of digital financial services help to accelerate the rate of financial inclusion and to close the gender gap in access to finance. While the economic outlook remains unclear, our financial system is relatively strong, following reforms carried out in the last 3 years, and is positioned to continue to play a key role in supporting economic recovery going forward and helping to promote financial inclusion and in particular to reduce the gender gap. The recent launch by the Ghana government of the National Financial Inclusion and Development Strategy, the Digital Financial Services Strategy, and the Cash Light Policy is intended to improve access to financial services from.
Speaking at the same program, Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Elsie Adoji, says that measures have always been put in place to ensure that they remain committed in supporting the informal sector.
So we did provide a lot of regulatory reliefs and policy reliefs to banks and other financial institutions. But our main focus was the beneficiaries of these policies, which would ultimately be the customers, particularly those in the MSME sector, as well as in the informal groups. Now, we also said before that we have access to gender disaggregated data at the level of digital financial services, not so much across the other more traditional financial services.
Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Elsie Adoji. Now, Finance Ministry has insisted that the recent downgrading of the country's credit ratings has nothing to do with how the economy is being managed. Now, ratings agency Standard & Poor's on September 11 lowered the country's credit worthiness from B to B negative, but with a stable outlook. But in a statement from the Ministry of Finance noted that the review by the agency has to do with how the countries around the world have been impacted by COVID-19. It was not just about the country. It maintained that even compared to its peers, Ghana actually performed better in terms of how it to look forward going forward. The country is in a better position to recover from the COVID-19 compared to its peers around the world. Now, the National Insurance Commission, in collaboration with the police, has begun or has actually arrested officials behind the unlicensed insurance brokerage firm Family Fountain. According to the commission, the brokerage firm was operating from Ayalulu Transport Terminal here in Accra. Michael Ando is Deputy Commissioner of the National Insurance Commission.
The National Insurance Commission has a monitoring unit that surveys the market and monitors the development. And so that unit has been scanning the environment and making sure that we have only licensed entities to sell genuine insurance products to the market. It is the work of this unit that led to the uncovering of this unlicensed insurance brokerage. It is really very disturbing, and the effect could be very disastrous.
And Deputy Commissioner of the National Insurance Commission, Michael Lando. And that's all for business on the Newsnight. And for tonight, we are celebrating Evans Mensah.
Well, of course, we'll wait for that shortly. But let's take some of your messages that you sent in via WhatsApp so far. This one from T Smart from Mama Summon says a judge was personally attacked. So hearing the matter himself will be being a judge in his own case. Now, Jerome in Keta says, I want to ask, can any ordinary citizen of Ghana scandalize the courts, apologize, and go scot-free? And then Musa Abatwa in Kumasi says, Evans,
contempt of court is cleared. This legal gymnastics playing by Kennedy Japon's lawyer won't wash when precedent is set on the matter of contempt of court. The actions taken on the first matter binds everybody. Munti 3 apologized, but we didn't forgive the earlier offenders, and we cannot provide any justifiable reason to forgive a second offender. This one from Kotoka Courage in Angonga says, who increased the telecommunications tax is not the same government. By the way, is Kennedy above the law of this particular country? Is the question he's asking. Melvin says, please, are we going to see the usual oral reduction in communication tax, or it will be practical this time? Well, the telecom companies say expect to see the reduction reflect tomorrow. In fact, from midnight. So just keep track of that. And then Kofi Siedu says, if Munti 3 could be punished for scandalizing the court, then Kennedy Japan should not be left of the hook because no one is above the law.
Well, you're still listening to Newsnight here on Joy 99.7 FM. It's the election headquarters. And it's just 84 days to the December polls, and tonight President Akufo-Addo is assuring an atmosphere that will guarantee electorates exercise their franchise in a free, peaceful and secure atmosphere. Fairness in the electoral process, neutrality of the security agencies continue to be a major concern among a section of the political divide and other identifiable groups. But President Akufo-Addo says efforts are underway to ensure a peaceful Ghana before, during and after the polls. The President was speaking at the annual conference of the Ghana Bar Association here in Accra.
I'm happy that the political class and stakeholders have agreed upon the necessity, in the face of the pandemic, to hold the December general elections on schedule, to bolster the evolution of our constitutional order and maintain the culture where executive and legislative authority are exercised in the Fourth Republic only by duly elected officials. Ghanaian democracy will be all the stronger for that shared commitment. I assure you, and indeed the Ghanaian people, that unstinting efforts are being made by my government and I to ensure the peace and stability of the nation as we enter the last 3 months of the electioneering campaign. Ghana has rightly earned a reputation as the pace setter in democratic governance on the continent, a reputation I'm determined to uphold and indeed enhance prior to, during, and after the 7th December election. To this end, I would need the cooperation and assistance of all citizens, especially members of this great association, the oldest professional organization in our nation, which has been such a magnificent champion of free, open government. We have all to work together to create the environment that will allow the Ghanaian people to make their decision on 7th December in freedom, peace, and security. It is their right. So let us therefore conduct ourselves with courtesy, responsibility, mutual respect, and in peace. When my time is up, hopefully after 4 more years, I want to hand over to my successor and the sovereign people of Ghana, a country that is greater, fairer, stronger, more cohesive, more prosperous, and more united than I met it in 2017. This is a solemn undertaking.
Now, speaking on the topic enhancing national cohesion, the essence of free, fair and responsible electoral commission, Executive Director of the Center for Democratic Development, Professor Henry Kwesi Prempeh, says the impartiality of the electoral commission must be seen at all times during the process. He wants the EC to work towards addressing the divided partisan trust facing it.
As the constitutionally appointed umpire in the elections, in the election arena generally, the EC must act and be seen to be acting at all times to instill confidence in its impartiality and fairness at every phase of the electoral cycle. This is particularly important because the EC faces a structural problem of its own. Unfortunately, the constitutional mode of appointment of our EC chair and its deputies, especially when multiple vacancies occur on the commission at the same time, has left the EC facing a problem of divided partisan trust, with the party whose president gets to appoint the EC and the majority of the commission almost wholeheartedly trusting and supporting the EC's decisions, while the rival party, which did not have the opportunity to appoint the EC and a majority of the commission, has instinctively viewed the commission with suspicion and mistrust.
Well, we can now listen to the president of the GBA, Mr. Tony Forsing, who is worried about the high level of suspicion for the Electoral Commission.
The National Insurance Commission has a monitoring unit that surveys the bucket and monitors the...
It is obvious from our contemporary history that sections of the political divide may at various times view every action of the EC with suspicion and sometimes outright disdain. It should be your constant supplication to the Almighty God that He grants you the grace and wisdom to speak and act in a manner which will promote confidence and trust even from your fiercest critics. Let me take this opportunity to congratulate the Electoral Commission on the success with the first phase of the registration exercise and wish you well for the next phase.
Now,
that is the
president of the Ghana
let's listen to the Kwesi Niyebwa, who is the Chief Justice. He announced the deployment of eminent judges of the Supreme Court to advise on the many outstanding issues with the district registration review work.
For an important safeguard of election integrity lies in an effective resolution of complaints and appeals with minimum delays. Thus, the need to equip and apprise judges, lawyers, political parties, and other stakeholders of the substantive law, as well as the rules of procedure for the adjudication of electoral disputes. Training on the electoral law has already been conducted for all magistrates, circuit court judges, and high court judges. Training on the EC's guidelines for district registration review officers and other operational staff has been conducted. Eminent judges of the Supreme Court on the committee reviewing the manual election adjudication will soon visit all the 16 regions in Ghana this week to monitor the work of the district registration review officers' job.
Now, the Chief Justice, Kwesi Niyebwa, will stay a while longer on the Electoral Commission because they filed a stay of execution in the case in which the High Court has directed the EC to give the Ashaiman MP, Ernest Nogbe, information on how it procured its IT and procurement consultants under the Right to Information law. The MP has filed a motion opposing it. He's joined us on the line, but we'll speak to him shortly. But first, let's go to Baba Tando for the latest from the world of sports. Hello, Baba.
Emefa and two-time world boxing champion Azuma Nelson has revealed David Kotai, popularly known as DK Poison, paved the way for other professionals within the pugilistic sport to bring more glory to Ghana. DK Poison was the first Ghanaian professional boxer to win a title for the country, being the featherweight champion between 1975 and 1976. Azuma Nelson was speaking to Nat Ator in his documentary titled Boxing Loan.
You know, one DK Poison, he opened the way. He showed us the way that we can be a world champion. Because, as you know, nobody has become a world champion in this country. So, and because nobody believed that there will be a world champion. One day we'll have a world champion here. So when he became world champion, we all know that okay, if he can become a world champion, we too, we can. So it means when we train hard and we focus like what he did, we can achieve and what he achieved.
That was Azuma Nelson speaking to Nathaniel Ator in that documentary titled Boxing Loan. To the EPL now, and German international Kai Havertz is set to officially begin his career in a Chelsea shirt. The Blues are away to Brighton and Hove Albion in their first match of the season. That game gets underway at 7:15. That's in an hour and a few minutes. In today's other game in the English Premier League, Sheffield United lost by 2-0 at home to Wolverhampton Wanderers. You can log on to myjoyonline.com/sports for all of the other updates. You are updated in the world of sports. I am Baba Tando.
Thank you very much. That's my colleague Baba Tando joining us via Zoom. You're still in the election headquarters.
Now, the flag bearer of the opposition, NDC, is tonight justifying his endorsement of the Achim Sakawa boys' comments, explaining that referencing Italian mafia doesn't mean at all that all Italians are, of course, can be put in the same bracket as being mafia. The former president has come under criticism for sharing a social media post which allegedly described people of Achim as Sakawa. Some chiefs and people of Achim last week issued a 2-day ultimatum for Mr. Mahama to apologize and retract those comments. But speaking in an interview with a crowd-based Class FM, the former president said those whipping up sentiments for him to be banned entry into the area should stop promoting divisions.
I've been in politics for years. Do I come across as an ethnocentric politician? I'm not ethnocentric. I think I rather believe that we must be an inclusive society. And so I've never, ever, discriminated or talk to somebody based on their ethnic origin. I believe that ethnic origin does not matter. The important thing is that we're all Ghanaians. And so I'll be the last person to do that. I didn't say anybody is Achim Sakawa. I just reposted. I read a statement by Isaac Odongo. Right. He made very good arguments. And actually, my mind was on the body of the arguments he made. And so I reposted what he made. It didn't come to me as anything that, I thought about. I saw his post. I just reposted it. Right. Because arguments he made there, for me, it was the arguments he made there that were very cogent. And that's why I reposted it. But I don't want to defend that issue or go into a debate about it. The point is, I'll just say, when we all talk about Italian mafia, does it mean all Italians are mafia? Yes. If we say Italian mafia, doesn't mean all Italians are mafia. There are some people who are mafia, but happen to be Italian. Right. You understand? No, nobody bans anybody. Nobody bans anybody from any. We shouldn't go there. Okay. Yeah, because if other people say they're banning other people, what kind of country are we going to have? Right. Not abuse Achim people. Indeed, like I said, there are many Achim people in my party. Why would I say anything insulting to them?
Now, the former president, John Dramani Mahama, will stay a while longer in the election headquarters, this time at the Ayawaso West Wogon constituency, because the roads have seen a major facelift. Joining checks reveal over 50 kilometers of asphalt overlay has been done in parts of East Legon, Roman Ridge, and Jowolo. The rehabilitation of the roads comes just months to the December polls. Well, MP for the area, Lydia Seyram Al-Hassan, has dismissed claims the move is only an attempt to advance her electoral fortunes during the December polls. My colleague, Kwesi Parker-Wilson, has more.
The Ayawaso West Wogon constituency has for many years remained a safe seat for the governing NPP. For many years, roads in the constituency were deteriorating, but with a few months to elections, a lot has changed here. At East Legon, roads around A&C Mall, A4 Sutherland Street, and Mahia Loop have all been given an asphalt overlay. That's not all. Roads in Jolu, Abelempe, and Roman Ridge have also undergone repair works. MP for the area, Lydia Sarah Malhassan, explains why.
President, when he said he was going to, that this year is going to be a year of roads. So it is our share of the year of road that we are seeing across. We want good quality roads that will last long.
But this explanation has been rejected by the NDC.
And that's Kwesi Parker-Wilson's report from Ayawaso West Wogon. And my favorite part of the bulletin tonight, we are telling the Evans Mensah story. Evans, how are you?
I'm invisible.
I can see you. Now, from the neighborhoods of Adabraka to the London School of Economics, Joy News editor, head of our political desk, Evans Mensah's story shows the value of perseverance and focus. He inspires all of us, doesn't he? In a series of stories looking at Joy News' longest-serving journalist as part of our 25 years anniversary, my colleague Justice Bedu tells the Evans Mensah story.
This is Top Story with Evans Mensah.
Tonight, students on rampage, a bloody attack on...
For many, his is Ghana's most authoritative news voice.
I was born, I didn't know my biological father. So my grandparents took me up because, of course, single mom who was a trader couldn't take care of, all the needs at the time.
Born in Abose-Okai, Aibe town, and bred in Koforidua, Evans Mensah has grown in places where going to school was not really a norm.
I knew I was going to be a journalist when I was in JSS 1. I was on my way to school, and I saw these kids who were playing at the banks of the Kole Lagoon. I felt like, oh my goodness, I wish I could tell their story. And I felt, oh my, if I became a journalist, I could do that.
That's not what you promised them. Well, we did. We promised one district, one factory. Yeah, but you don't. And one factory is one district.
Today, Evans is a graduate of the coveted London School of Economics and now editor at Joy News. It's been a 16-year journey coming here.
When I was in JIJ, I was applied to intern at Joy FM twice. They bounced me in 2 occasions.
Our projection is that Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo will win the 2016 presidential election.
I'm really surprised that I'm doing this, actually, like doing politics. I'm terribly surprised. Like, I don't know when that became part of my being. I came here in 2004 as an intern. That was the year of an election, so an election year. So that's my first experience at elections. I remember I covered Udurudio. I just want to be the best version of myself every single day. I mean, so when you hang up the boots in journalism, which will certainly come, I mean, you give yourself every single day. I judge myself every single day. I don't look in see that the thing about journalism is that your audience will judge you. Nobody else, not your boss, not your HR.
The media landscape is changing. Evans says he misses the past, but is excited for what the future holds and hopes, like in 2004 when he first came here, Joy would still be leading the pack in the era to come.
There are many things in society that wouldn't have been without Joy FM. I mean, if you imagine the number of investigative reports, if you imagine the number of individual stories that we've told that have changed lives, stories that touch people's lives, like, I mean, we helped build a whole hospital.
Justice Bedu.
Evans Mensah's story, and that's how we end tonight's edition of Newsnight. Evans, which version are you today?
the version you prefer.
I must say that you're one of my favorite colleagues.
Oh yeah, that I know.
You do inspire
that I've told
all
you before. So yeah.
Continue to be you and do great things for Mother Ghana. And
that's
it for Newsnight here on Joy 99.7 FM.
Oh, you didn't tell me about our fights.
I am Emefa Apawu. Nana Nsakwa is up next with That's My Opinion. And tonight, Jubilee House is well worth a promise. I've been doing this with Evans Mensah. Do enjoy.